It's taken forever. What's going on? Hello, everyone. Welcome to Divorce Town USA's webinar this month. We're talking about mental health matters in divorce, and I will tell you that mental health really does matter in divorce. This is going to be a great show, and I'm so glad that you're joining us, whether you're here live or you're going to listen to the recording later. We welcome you, and we hope that you gain a lot of information from this webinar. So we're going to get right to it here, and I want to tell you a little bit about the speakers that we have today. We have some fabulous ladies here with us. Sherry Harden is going to be our first speaker. She is a friend and colleague and a licensed clinical social worker. She does individual and couples psychotherapy, discernment counseling, certified transition, and a recovery divorce coach. Sherry will be speaking with us today on the topic of holistic approaches to mental wellness. And after Sherry, we're going to meet our other two speakers. So I will introduce them as they come up. And then we will have a Q&A at the end. And for our folks who are listening in here today, if you have questions or comments, please feel free to put them in the chat. If we have any poll questions, you can refer to the poll and answer them there. And my assistant, Marcella, who's hiding in the background here today, she'll help us if we have any technical issues or questions. You can also text something to her in the chat. And so it gives me great pleasure to introduce Sherry Harden, and the rest of us are going to go off camera now, and we'll be back in a little bit. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. All right, let me get my slides going here. All right. All right, I'm so glad to be here with you all today. I don't know, Marcella, are my slides showing up? There we go. There we go. I do want to talk about how to maintain your mental wellness during divorce, because anybody who has been through or is going through divorce knows that your well-being is going to really be challenged during this time. So I want to start off by talking about the emotions that arise during divorce. Some divorces are mutual, but often you have a partner who wants to leave the marriage and someone who does not. And so those two partners may be having very different emotional experiences. For the partner who is being left, they may experience shock if they did not see this coming. Sometimes it comes out of the blue. They may be experiencing symptoms of trauma. That intimate partner bond being broken can be traumatic. Also, if there has been a betrayal, such as infidelity or any other kind of betrayal. An intimate partner betrayal, we now know, is experienced often as a traumatic experience. And so for those folks, then you may be experiencing symptoms of PTSD, such as intrusive thoughts and images, difficulty sleeping or concentrating, nightmares, or intense emotions with reminders of the betrayal. This partner may be experiencing anger over their spouse not wanting to work on the marriage anymore. They may be bargaining with themselves, with their partner, with God to try to get their spouse to stay. And they will certainly be experiencing sadness, grief, and loss. So the partner who has chosen to leave may be experiencing anxiety, especially in the beginning if they haven't told their spouse yet. They may be anxious about how their spouse may react to the news. They may also be experiencing anger over the things that led to the decision to divorce. What I hear a lot from this partner is self-blame and guilt, either guilt over it being their choice to leave the marriage, or I hear a lot from people who have children feeling guilt over this. And I think we're going to hear some about the children later. This partner may be experiencing relief. And by the time the decision to divorce has been made, they may be well through or sometimes completed with their grieving process. And for both partners, there may be a heightened sense of anxiety for two reasons. One is the future is unknown now. The future that you anticipated having is going to be completely different, and who knows what that's going to look like. The other is it's very common to have thoughts of, is my spouse going to try to take the kids from me? Are they going to hide the money? Will I be able to make it as a single parent? For a stay-at-home parent, will I be able to find a job? And questions of, am I going to be lonely? So all of those thoughts and feelings are normal to come up as well. So I'm going to talk about the holistic approaches to mental wellness, and just to know that all of those feelings are normal, and we're going to see some things that can help with that. So when we talk about holistic approaches, there's 5 categories that you want to think about: mental, physical, emotional, social, and spiritual. So I'm going to give some examples of these, and these are things that they're free. Most of them are easy, and they all have research behind them to show that they actually do improve a sense of well-being. Okay, so the first one I want to talk about is super, super important during divorce, and that is social. Your social connection and support is really big right now. Just, gathering your troops around you and the people that care about you and maintaining contact with them. But even simply striking up a conversation with a stranger does make us feel better. And this is true for even introverts who predicted that it would not, that it actually does. So call a friend for lunch that you haven't seen in a while. Reach out to your friends and family. Let them know what's going on. Let them help you. I promise you're not going to be a burden, and they want to be there for you during this time. All right, our next category is mental. And the first thing I want to talk about is meditation. You've probably heard there's a lot of buzz about meditation in recent years, and there's good reason for that because it's helpful. If you've never done it before, there are apps such as Insight Timer, Headspace, or Calm that can help you break into a nice guided meditation. The benefits of this is a wandering mind is an unhappy mind. And during divorce, there's a lot of opportunities for the mind to wander to some pretty bad places. So practicing meditation regularly can help rein that in. It can also increase your mood in just a couple of weeks of practice, and it can decrease stress. So there's no consensus on how long or how often is the most beneficial, but start small. Start with 5 minutes a few days a week and build up and just see what works best for you. Now, there is a caveat. Some people who have experienced trauma may have really painful memories come up during meditation, and there are some people who have anxiety or panic or numbness during meditation. If this is you, just skip this one and it's okay. All right, the next one under mental, and y'all, this is my favorite, is called savoring. And this is the simple act of stepping out of your experience to review it and really appreciate it while it's happening. And it can boost mood in 3 ways. One is it can help us remember the good things in life that we tend to habituate and we don't really notice anymore. But when we remember them, we experience them new. It can help keep that mind from wandering, like I mentioned a minute ago, can be so troubling. And it can increase our gratitude and make us thankful for what's happening while it's happening. So I know during divorce, there's lots of things not to savor, but find those little moments like reading a book to your child at bedtime or pulling on your soft favorite fuzzy sweater. Little things like that. Just stop and really be in that moment to notice those. Can make a difference. So I'm going to talk about emotional next. This flows right from savoring because savoring leads right into gratitude. And there's also, you can just generate a sense of gratitude on your own by thinking about it. It can improve your mood and lower your stress, like these other things. They all pretty much do that. It can all lower your blood pressure. And one way to do this is each night before you go to bed, reflect on your day and write down 3 things from your day that you feel grateful for. And again, these can be small things. You can be grateful that you have refrigeration. It doesn't have to be big stuff. A fun challenge is to do this for 100 days, 3 things a day for 100 days, and not repeat any for those 100 days. And this is important because what we think about really does affect our mood. It's very important. So this is intentionally thinking about some things that are positive. All right, the next part of emotional is kindness. And this is the simple act of doing something nice. It can be to someone you care about, a stranger. And so a fun fact is that when you do a random act of kindness, it literally boosts serotonin levels in the person receiving the act of kindness, and you, the person giving it, and anybody who may have happened to observe that. So this can not only help you feel happier, but it can help other people feel happier as well. So the next category is physical. And you probably hear a lot about exercise, but it's really true that exercise has been shown in research that as little as 20 minutes, 4 to 5 days a week can be just as effective on mild to moderate depression as medications like Zoloft or Prozac. And you don't really have to do that much. So just get up and move a little. Put on your favorite music, dance around your room, take a walk in your neighborhood or in your favorite park, or just go to the gym for 30 minutes. It can make a big difference. The next of physical is sleep. And it's really helpful to try to get 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night. It can help reduce anxiety. It can just help us feel better. And I know you may be saying, Sherry, I'm going through a divorce. I'm anxious. I can't sleep. And I get that. So trying to do things like establish a routine, go to bed at the same time every night, get up the same time every morning, or talk to your doctor about some natural supplements or some herbal teas may help with that. The last one of these is spiritual. And so this is really just defining what spirituality means to you. Can be a connection to a greater source or something that helps you feel grounded. Prayer, chanting, and breath work are practices that people use with their spirituality, and also exploring questions such as, what is the meaning of my suffering? Or do things happen for a reason? Can be really beneficial to explore those. And having a pastor or a spiritual guide or a therapist to help you explore that can be useful. And I would be remiss if I didn't say, if you have a pre-existing mental health condition, depression, anxiety, PTSD, anything, this is going to be a very trying time, and this may amplify your symptoms. So just make sure that you are using all of your effective treatments during this time. Make sure you're seeing your therapist, you're taking your medication as it's prescribed, and that you're attending any support groups. And I want to give one last shout out to this tip, that when you're going through divorce, this can be very helpful for your well-being, is it's time to start establishing new boundaries with your soon-to-be ex and breaking old habits, whether those old habits are that you fight a lot or whether they're that you're just in a little bit too much communication with each other or anything else. It's time to start breaking those habits and creating new boundaries. It's going to help you to feel a lot better. And so, as always, if you need any help with any of these things, find yourself stuck or struggling, reach out to a counselor or therapist in your area. And if you want to chat with me, my information is on the screen and I'd be happy to talk with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Sherry. That was wonderful. Lots of great tips and things that we can do to help ourselves during very trying times of divorce and other times in life when we are just facing some things that are harder than usual. So appreciate that, Sherry. Next up, we have Kathleen Renee, and Kathleen is a certified life coach and founder of A Road Trip with a Life Coach. Ooh, that sounds like fun. She has a BS from Oregon Health and Science University and is a graduate of the Martha Beck Life Coaching Program, Life Coach Institute, Passion Test Facilitator, and Passion Test for Business. Kathleen will speak with us today on the role of your divorce coach, a very important topic. So Kathleen, welcome.
Thank you, and thank you for having me. First of all, that presentation was beautiful that we just saw. So I was asked to speak for 10 minutes or so on the role of mental health matters and your divorce coach. And your divorce coach is there to get you feeling better. And I think the beautiful thing about coaching is in my initial education, we have two principles: live it to give it, meaning we are ourselves living day to day in the things we are trying to get you to accept and try. And we also coach our hell and back, we call it. So what have you been through that was quite awful, and you not only survived it, but you thrived, and now you can come at it from a teaching place to reach a hand back in the dark and help others. And of all the things I've been through, divorce was the darkest thing. So I think I've also been to therapy, but it's really nice to know with a coach that they are divorced, and then you choose the one that is making divorce look like you hope it to look. So here we want that to be respectful and healing. So the first thing we do in coaching is to help you become aware of your limiting thoughts. And I think during the dark time that is divorce, it's just so easy to fall into so many dark thoughts. And it's a well-worn path to things you're thinking. And when you turn to comforting family and friends, they sort of keep you in that comfort zone. So you're going to hire a coach to say, it's time to reinvent likely every aspect of your life. And we're going to turn and go here. We're going to create an entirely new path, and that is uncomfortable. So you're going to have this person you're checking in with that's going to push you and help you along and reinforce your goals as you head down an entirely new life. And my best tool I use for that, I love the passion test. So in coaching, we have true tests and assignments and homework for you to get you thinking differently. And in the passion test, this is something that helps you get back your clarity, remember your passions and your purpose. It's completely normal in divorce. First, you have your divorce goals, but after life, you often forgot how to dream. You just can't imagine what your life will be. So it takes someone to help you remember what you love, remember what your passions are, come up with a plan, and hold you accountable to that plan as you go forward. So we say a thought creates a feeling, which creates your action. So you may say, this feels hopeless is your thought, which creates the feeling, of just wanting to stay home on your couch and give up. And your coach is going to say, is it hopeless or is it new? Are you broken or are you healing? What is one thing you could do today that would make you feel like you're moving forward? Well, let's do that. Let's do that by 5. Check in with me that you did that. And we'll do another step tomorrow. So you hire a coach. In my case, I've always coached over the phone or by computer platform. And I think that's a beautiful thing because people can be anywhere. And I often tell people it's like a great episode on The Voice TV show because you're just a voice and it's a safe space. I only know your story, and you can have messy hair and be in your car and be in tears. And the way I think of coaching is that there's someone to help with everything and find the person for you. And if we're not coaches, we know so many other coaches. And we're out here because something moved us in our struggle, and we're just waiting. And we're waiting and we're putting ourselves out there, hoping to hear that someone needs help. And that's the biggest thing I think about mental health and divorce. It is such a hard time. And there is an entire sea of people just waiting for you to say you would like help. And that's all we want to do, is to help you move forward through this. And that's the basis of coaching, moving forward. Because being stuck here is the last thing you want to do. You want to heal your family. You want to heal yourself, and you want to get on with the business of living. Road Trip with a Life Coach. Just get out there and live the life you have and find the beauty in it as you continue forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathleen. Some great tips there as well. And, it's interesting how each of us play a different role in all of this, and where people are at different stages, whether they need a therapist or a coach or maybe both, right? So there's different needs, are going to have different professionals who can come in and share their expertise and help you get through the past and keep moving forward. So I hope that everyone listening is getting some really great information here today to help you no matter where you are in this process. There are people out there. Divorce is not a time to do it alone or be alone. You've got to have a team. And so, these are some folks who can help you on your team, looking for professionals who can help you to move through what you're going through and to keep moving forward to the next chapter of your life. So awesome. Thank you again, Kathleen. And next up, we have Dorothy Niedermeyer. Dorothy Niedermeyer, PhD, is a metaphysician, a certified hypnosis practitioner, and international best-selling author with 30 years of experience, 30 years plus. And Dorothy is a recognized authority on bridging science and human potential. She provides comprehensive protocols to discover and transform the root cause of distress and diagnoses from A to Z. Dr. Dorothy facilitates holistic health protocols to create mental, emotional, and physical health while transforming past mental, emotional, and physical distress. And today, Dr. Dorothy will help us identify signs of stress and anxiety in our children so we can help them. And Dr. Dorothy, it's so wonderful to have you here today, and we are looking forward to your presentation. There you are. You want to turn your camera on? I'll turn mine off. Marcella, can you give us a hand here?
Sure. On the top left-hand corner, Dorothy, you can turn on your camera and your mic in the top left-hand corner of your box.
Are you able to do that for her?
I can't turn the cameras on. I can only turn them off.
Nope.
I have limited power and control here.
I can't do it either. Dorothy,
There you go.
All right. I'm going to step on.
There we go. I forgot that step. That's my dyslexia. I always jump ahead of everything, and then I have to go back and fix it. Thank you so much, Lisa, for inviting me to give this presentation. And I'm going to kind of come in and wrap everything up in a bow, because both your presenters before have all the basics down to a narrow point. I'm going to just broaden it out a little bit to help people recognize that signs of distress and anxiety in children isn't a given. Even though the child may be going through a rough time, we need to be aware that we don't want to label everything as something worse than it really is. And stress is a phenomenon that is different or somewhat the same for each child or adult. And we are to some degree conditioned to believe that stress is bad and that there's a solution in a product such as, the Calgon bath salts or another pill. And of course, we need to attend to these issues that cause us to feel apprehensive or frightened before or after an experience. However, it is better to talk about the experience before or after to understand the needs of the child or an adult. More importantly, I highly recommend avoiding assuming that all stress is bad or that the stress will continue. Yes, something might be a challenge, but stress isn't inherent. Parents who are cautious might unwittingly install their own fear into a child's mind. It is also important to avoid projecting one's fears into the child's experience. Avoid using the words stress or anxious or anxiety. Ask the child how they feel without putting a label on it, and assist the child to problem solve before and after a new experience or just any experience. And to remember that we have 4 feelings: happiness, gladness, anger, and fear. That's all the feelings we have. We just put a whole bunch of different labels on the same thing. Children may not exhibit stress in the same way as adults. For example, children display anger or irritability in addition to fear and worry. It's understandable that parents would worry about their child's experiences, but it is important to know that some childhood stress is common, and with patience, compassion, and communication, it can be resolved quickly. Some children take longer to process their feelings. If a child seems to be struggling for longer than a few months, you might need to engage with a practitioner who specializes in holistic mental health protocols. And you can always call and find out what those are. So let's talk about the common childhood worries. There are a number of things that commonly cause worry and discomfort for children of different ages. New situations, challenging tasks, and even unfamiliar people can lead to apprehension and discomfort in children sometimes, but maybe not all the time. Other age-appropriate fears include fear of strangers beginning at 7 to 9 months of age and usually resolved around age 3. Fear of darkness, monsters, insects, and animals in preschoolers. Fear of heights or storms in younger school-age children. Worry about school and friends in the older school children. And, of course, the teens. The signs and symptoms of discomfort is as much as a common or occasional discomfort. Children will display anger or aggression, yelling, screaming, hitting, tantrums, avoid certain situations. They sometimes have bedwetting or a change in appetite, fatigue, getting in trouble at school, headaches, having unusual behavior, and you wonder where it came from, irritability, muscle tension, nervous habits such as hair pulling or nail biting, nightmares, refusing to go to school, uncooperative, social withdrawal, stomach aches, trouble concentrating or trouble sleeping. And the frequency and appearance of stress can vary depending on the nature of the situation. And at the time of going through a divorce, children can have all of those things going on at once. Sickness or death of a family member or friend can bring about discomfort or stress. Birth of a sibling, a divorce, of course, that's what we're talking about today. Community factors and being in car crashes or home fire or other physical mishaps that sometimes adults forget that children need maybe longer to sort out their feelings about it or get all the pieces in the right place. And common childhood fears that persist beyond the age where they are expected, such as being afraid of the dark or being away from parents past the preschool age, are also a point of concern. And I will close with a little story. When my son was 16 and in junior in high school, he asked me, "Mom, why do kids freak out about taking tests?" And I said, "Well, I don't know. All kids are different. What do you think about taking tests?" And he says, "Well, I'm excited. I like tests." And I said, "Oh, okay. Why do you like tests?" "Because I know what I know, and I know what I don't know. And what I don't know, I need to learn." And I said, "Well, how did you learn to do that?" "Mom, you told us there's nothing to worry about and that everything has a solution. Case closed." Thank you. I've enjoyed giving this presentation.
Hey, Dorothy, that was great. Thank you. We enjoyed having you, and it's good to see you again. Dorothy and I met quite a few years ago in Arizona, and it's wonderful to have her here today with this information that applies to children in divorce, right? A lot of times we think of the adults going through it and we don't always recognize the signs in children. So, you know, your therapist and your divorce coach and your holistic coach, like Dr. Niedermeyer here, they can all help you and your family with things you're going through as you travel through Divorce Town. So, Marcella, I think we have a couple of questions, and I'm going to let you read those if you would.
Sure. And maybe if everybody could come back on camera, we'll make this kind of a roundtable discussion. You guys can sort of just jump in and answer these questions as it fits your forte. So the first one is from Virginia. She wanted to know, how do you help clients who both think the other one has a narcissistic personality disorder, even though neither have been diagnosed by a professional?
That's a
good question.
I'll jump in here and maybe I can swim and maybe I won't. It's difficult to put labels on everything and to know what caused the behavior in the adult. And that's what we need to do, is to find out the source, where the issue got started. Because if we don't clean out the old debris, we can put a lot of Band-Aids on it, and we can put a lot of coping mechanisms on it, and the problem still exists. So we look for ways that the children can understand that this person has a certain way of doing things. It may not be the best way, but it can be worked around. Because we can't force someone to go to therapy.
And you look like you were, I was going to say, Sherry, you look like you had a thought.
And the last part of the question is just, it's just, how do you deal with your client who thinks their partner has narcissistic personality and their partner thinks they do too, right?
Yes, correct.
So it may be helpful to just have them focus on the goal of what they're trying to do instead of on these, the way that their partner is being difficult, and that there are certain things that are going to, certainly in high conflict divorce, if you think that's really what you're dealing with, to seek out a professional who specializes in that, because it's certainly not going to hurt. It'll keep everything calm and help you document. But to talk to them about not to get too caught up what their spouse thinks about them, and just stay focused on their mission with this. And again, not to get too caught up in the labels. And to let I like to say, let your goals be your guide. So I would try to just bring them back to, what are we trying to do here? And just help them really focus on the task at hand, instead of on how awful they think that their spouse is, because that's just not going to get anywhere. May help to vent to your friends for a little while, but if you're a professional working with these folks, it's really a distraction to spend too much time on that piece. So those would be kind of my 2 bits of advice.
I would jump in very much what you just said, but as someone who counsels people in divorce and going forward, it's rare you don't have someone that says they're divorcing a narcissist. I don't know if I've ever had a client that didn't say their spouse is a narcissist going forward. And so often people are in therapy and coaching, which I think is the cornerstone of why we're here. To be so brave is to get help, and that's a deeper level of help. But from a coaching perspective, that's one way you can stop having a relationship with someone you're no longer in a relationship with, is to let them be who they are to a large degree and focus on yourself and moving forward. So,
yeah, and I've heard the same thing. Kathleen's right. It is, it is simply not possible that everyone's a narcissist and has narcissistic personality disorder. Every single one of us can have narcissistic qualities from time to time, but it's
Or is it an initial phase of divorce that when you're detaching, you just want it to be over so quickly, even though you've likely been married for a very long time. And so it's just so easy to put them in a capsule and label them something horrible to help push it all. It might just be a step in the process.
I think so. And I think narcissism right now is the kind of the popular mental health diagnosis that everybody is. It used to be bipolar, and it's like we kind of cycle through every few years as to what's the one that, everybody is. And this is kind of seem to be the mental health diagnosis of the day.
Well, I'll add something from the financial perspective. As a certified divorce financial analyst, and one that works mostly with couples, I have a different approach, and I don't typically get clients who are in high conflict. So I don't hear that as much, although I definitely do hear it, and I'll agree with all that's been said here. And what Sherry said is that, not everyone, or someone said, I'm sorry if I'm quoting the wrong person, but that not everyone can be narcissist. Right? We can have narcissistic tendencies, but not everyone can be a narcissist. So, when you are in high conflict, or when you're in stress and anxiety with a divorce, you may be seeing the worst of your spouse, and that's natural. And so those things are obviously going to come to mind. But I do want to point out from a financial perspective that, spending time focusing on what's wrong with your spouse and what allows you think your spouse may be is probably going to cost you more money in the process. And so, use your therapist to help you work through those things, to vent, your coach, your therapist, to get some coping techniques, some tools to get you through this process. Don't talk to your attorney about these things. Their clock is ticking, and you're going to be paying a lot of money for something that is not their specialty. And again, as was said, also focus on the end goal. Let your spouse call you whatever they'd like. In the end, what is it you'd like to accomplish here, and how can you do it in a way that is respectful to yourself as well, that is cost saving and sanity saving. And that means stay focused on the goal. The goal is to get divorced and to live your best life possible afterwards. And so, even if you're divorcing, if you have children, you're still going to have a connection to this person for likely the rest of your life through graduations and weddings and grandchildren and family celebrations. And so watch the words that you use, because they may come back to haunt you.
Excellent advice. And we had yes, actually, we had a question. Can our experts add their contact info to the chat? We can. And actually, I can also put it up on the screen for you. Let me just slide over here. All of these experts can be reached at Divorcetown USA. Just type in Divorcetown USA and you can search them by last name. And Sherry did also add hers, but you guys can all go ahead and put your contact information in the chat. I'm going to put the website in there. Everybody can be reached through there. They'll have email and contact information that way as well. Excellent. And Sherry, I wanted to just ask you quickly, because we didn't get a chance to talk about it in your presentation, but there is still a pandemic going on out there. It has affected the divorce process. And not just Sherry can answer this, all of you can answer this. Is there anything different that people need to do, or is there anything, is there anything has changed, or what is it that needs to be done in a different way, or not? Maybe it doesn't really matter. Maybe the end goal is still the same.
Yeah, a couple of thoughts about that. I mean, what has changed, there are a number of ways that I have noticed just in my practice that the pandemic has affected marriages and divorce. And so if there were existing, Esther Perel says, whatever was going on in your marriage, a pandemic is going to amplify it. So if there were existing problems in your marriage, those have been amplified. I've seen a lot of that. There's been a lot of stress from unemployment or underemployment, financial issues that has taken a big toll on a lot of couples. I've seen a good bit of conflict over differing levels of stress around risk. So if one partner is wanting to be very cautious and the other one thinks that it's not a big deal, there has been a lot of conflict around that, how that should be handled, and especially if there are children coming in and out of the home. So, and the stress of caring for young children, now kids are getting back in school, but having young children at home while they're trying to manage work, and how that kind of redistributes the division of labor in the home. When couples do not address that directly, it has led to a lot of stress and conflict when they're just kind of trying to continue as normal, but they really can't do that. They need to really sit down and talk about how to divide things up. Social isolation has, that's opening back up again. So that's great. That's been a big problem. And then people realizing life is short and they don't want to be unhappy. And so, more people are choosing to divorce. The divorce rate is up. And at the same time, logistics around divorce have been, in some cases, more difficult. And again, this is changing now that we've got the vaccine and things are opening back up again. But when you've got the kids at home and you're trying to figure out, well, how would we divorce, and then try to have the kids doing school at home, and we've got to work and all that, it's couples who really reach that point are finding it more difficult to figure out the logistics of that. And then of course the courts were delayed. So I don't know if that has started picking back up again, but I've heard that things have been really backed up. One thing that I would like to mention is, because of the delays in the courts, a really nice way to go about a divorce is the amicable divorce. Mm-hmm. And Lisa and I are both in that network. But it's a divorce process that, number one, leaves everybody a lot less scarred than can be otherwise. It's better for the children, better for both partners. And everything is done before it gets filed with the courts. So it speeds things up a lot. So that would be one suggestion, is to go to amicableddivorcenetwork.com and look for your professionals there to help you decide all the things that need to be settled in divorce before filing. And then you don't have all the delays of the court dates and the hearings and the this and the that's. So those are my thoughts on that.
And I agree. Have you heard 30%? I heard divorce is up about 30% during the pandemic.
Oh, wow. I hadn't heard a percentage. I'm just hearing all over the place.
And I think it's the same. I think when you have all of this concentrated time together, someone the other day that was divorcing said, is it just me? Because it seems like all my friends are happier, during this time. And he said, oh, no, it just brought out whatever was there. So whether you were faking it and out of gas, right? And it just became clear, and clarity can be a gift, even if it leads to divorce. I've met you after I've gotten divorced, and I very much pulled off an amicable divorce, but I think the Amicable Divorce Network, what a gift if I were going through it again, to be able to make a list of all the things that I'm one of the braver people you'll meet, but I was scared to death about finances and how your kids will do, and being alone that much and handling so many things, just handling everything alone. And I think in that group, you could make a list of all the things that scare you the most, and there is someone and something for that. It's a beautiful place that you've created, and one-stop shopping for everyone that scares you going forward. And it's just a healing Band-Aid. It's a beautiful thing.
And that's why when I learned of it, Tracy Ann Moore Grant, the founder of it, and I actually had a mutual client that we had not met through. Client came to me first, she and her husband. I helped them figure out the finances of their divorce, and then they were working with attorneys on the side to take care of the legal matters. And afterwards, my client connected Tracy Ann and I, and we met for lunch and started discussing some things. And I loved what Tracy Ann was sharing about this new network she was putting together. And by the time we were having lunch, I realized we are definitely in sync, because that is what Divorce Town is all about. This place where you come and find all of the resources, all of the professionals that you need in one place. And it is great to partner with Tracy Ann. Many of our professionals are members of both organizations, and we are both looking to expand around the country. So we will be talking with more people, more professionals, as we do that work and bring amicable divorce and all of the things that it represents, that Divorce Town is about as well, to people across this nation. It is time for a revolution in the way that divorce is done.
Yes.
Right? The world is changing so much. We've seen so many other civil matters changing. It's time for change in the ways that divorce is done as well. So I tell people, I developed a roadmap for Divorce Town, and I tell people, you have options. Many people think of divorce, they think of, the traditional litigated War of the Roses. Okay, lawyer up, put your gloves on, let's duke it out. It doesn't have to be that way. So when they come and they sit down, we talk about this side of Divorce Town. You can look at options like Peaceful Place and Savings Lane. But if you continue fighting and want a contentious divorce with all that comes with it, I'll see you on the other side of town where we have Bigger Bucks Boulevard and Duke It Out Drive. And once people hear those options, they're usually like, how can I stay over here for a more peaceful divorce? And grateful that amicable divorce is another option that's out there, one of the best options that I have come across. So it's a wonderful marriage of sorts that we have going on here. And I am so grateful for the great members that we have. And so grateful to all you ladies here today for joining us and sharing your expertise. And are there any parting words that you'd like to share?
We do have one more question, if we can do it briefly.
Okay.
We had the question, can you talk about how to prepare your kids for awkward questions that they get from friends and kids at school? I thought that was a great question.
Yeah.
I'll start. I think it's a very conscious choice to lay that framework. And within the amicable divorce, if you've already sat down with your spouse to talk about how you think this will go, and I think it's just a knee-jerk reaction that we haven't changed the narrative around divorce, and we expect people will have judgmental or negative questions, and maybe they will, but if you're choosing this road, you can truly tell them in all honesty that it's just going to change shape and it's going to look different, and you're still a family, and it's not broken, it will heal, and be ready for those sorts of questions. I think we assume it's going to be bad because we've been taught to think it's failure and it's broken and everything will just be falling apart. And we can all tell you from experience that when done and done well, the questions could be, I can't believe your parents still get along so well. I can't believe they're still both coming to this. Wow, they don't even seem divorced. Like, this isn't what I think of at all. It might be shocking in a good way. It is shocking in a good way.
Sherry or Dorothy, would you like to add to that?
Well, I find in my practice that if children are listened to throughout the process of getting a divorce and let them share how they feel about each one of the steps along the way, they do much better than if they're kind of kept in the dark. And things are not being explained to them. And a lot of times they will say they're glad their parents were divorced.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Because the tension is much less. They love their dad. They love their mom. They can visit dad. They can visit mom. Depending on how the divorce came out, whether you have joint custody and 50-50, the children actually enjoy the parents better.
I love what, go ahead. Were you?
No, go ahead.
I love what both Dorothy and Kathleen said. And so I don't know that I have anything to add to that other than just making sure that, that your children have someone they know they can talk to, so that if they get asked a question that they're stumped by or feel put on the spot and don't know how to answer, that they know who they can go to. And especially for elementary age students, making sure that there's somebody perhaps at school that they can go to in a moment that knows what's going on, whether it's their teacher or their guidance counselor. So if something comes up in the moment and it is upsetting or puts them on the spot, they have someone that the adults there in that setting are already looped in and ready to be there.
Yeah, that's great. I was going to add that as well, letting the guidance counselor and the teacher know what's going on so that they can help the child address that or see if they're in distress about something, be aware of it. I would also add that, watch what you're saying in front of your children. I agree with letting them know what's happening in the process, where you're at in the process, but in that piece of things, not disparaging your soon-to-be ex. Because the children internalize that. That's not healthy for them. They may have alliance issues, you know, and they may take things back and forth, and they may feel guilty, and they may feel that it's their fault. And so being very careful the information that you share and how you share it, age appropriate as well. And, you know, take the high road. Your children will understand when they get older that you took the higher road, no matter how hard the road was to climb. And they'll recognize that when they're old enough to.
I always say, I hope we pair so well, road trip with a life coach and your map too. But I hope the only thing they hear is, can I speak with you in the other room? Right? Or speak when they're not around. They should only hear how it's all going to be okay, and everything else should be handled privately.
Yes. Yes. So Marcella, do we have any other questions or comments that you need to share?
That was the last one. That was excellent. Thank you.
Yeah, that was a great question. Thank you, Rosalind, for asking that. And thank you to all of those who were able to attend today live. And I know a lot of folks signed up for this, so I hope you get a chance to watch the replay, because you don't want to miss this. There's some great information here, and we look forward to seeing you again. Marcella, can you put up the dates for our next events and our support groups so that folks know? And there we go. We have upcoming events, support group meetings that you can find out more information about at divorcetownusa.com, and also on Meetup. You can look for us there, the Divorce Help and Hope Support Group. And our next upcoming webinars, we're going to be talking about a healthier way to divorce next month. Follows right in tune with what we're doing here. Then we're going to follow up after that in July with divorce and real estate, when to stay and when to sell. And that's a really hot topic now in this market. And in August coming up, do I really need an attorney? The dangers of a do-it-yourself divorce. Ooh, hot topic. So don't miss any of these, folks. We'll be back with more information. We're here for you. Reach out to any of the experts here that can help you. There's more of us looking to engage and connect and help you grow and prosper moving forward in your life at divorcetownusa.com. And I'm Lisa Decker, your moderator, and thank you for coming today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure, ladies. Everyone take care now. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.